distinguished panel of judges.
All right, good afternoon, Colorado, and congratulations on your presence here at the national finals. I hope yesterday went well for you, and I'm sure today will go great. We're looking forward to a conversation with you. My name is Kevin Fox. I'm a social studies teacher in Southern California, and I'm a recovering We the People teacher. I had the great privilege of teaching and coaching a team for 15 years and loved every minute of it. And I know how you're feeling, and I know how your coaches and teachers are feeling, and I'm sure you'll make them proud today. Good luck.
Hello, Colorado. My name is Tim Murphy. I work at the University of Chicago, where I oversee the Master of Liberal Arts program and some programs we run for continuing education for high school social studies teachers. And I, too, am very much looking forward to our conversation and digging into some of these issues.
Hi, Colorado. My name's Steve Lindley. I'm not far away. I'm in Cheyenne. I'm a retired criminal justice administrator. It's good to see you. Congratulations on getting to this point, and a big thanks and congratulations to your teacher and all of those who help you along the way. So anyway, as the others have said, we're looking forward to listening to you and talking with you for a few minutes. So best wishes.
Would you please introduce yourselves and your teacher?
Hello, my name is Gavin Stiles, and I'm a junior.
Hello, my name's Hosanna Magana, and I'm also a junior.
Hello, my name is Kai Moore, and I'm also a junior.
Hello, my name is Kaki Sawyer, and I'm also a junior, and our teachers are Mandy Hostetter and Matthew Fulford.
Excellent. All right. Well, you know what we're going to ask you, so we'll just go ahead and do it. Parliament passed the Habeas Corpus Act of 1679. What is habeas corpus, and to what extent, if any?
We, however, agree with the dissent, which argued that this decision legitimized race-based violations of due process rights. In the 1950 case, Johnson v. Eisentrager, the Supreme Court held that habeas corpus didn't apply to non-citizens held outside U.S. jurisdiction, which was later used to justify the habeas corpus violations in Guantanamo Bay. However, cases like Boumediene v. Bush, 2008, Rasool v. Bush, 2004, and Hamdi v. Rumsfeld, 2004, overturned this decision and declared sections of the Military Commissions Act unconstitutional, determining that despite Cuba's ultimate sovereignty over Guantanamo Bay, it was still effectively under U.S. jurisdiction. As Justice Sandra Day O'Connor stated, war is not a blank check for the president when it comes to the rights of a nation's citizens, and we believe that while it is unfeasible for the U.S. to extend this to all enemy combatants and non-citizens, there should be a period of time in which the right of habeas corpus is upheld to avoid indefinite detention.
There are some cases in which upholding habeas corpus may place an unreasonable burden on the government, such as during times of rebellion and invasion. Additionally, the legal system is often inundated with habeas corpus writs. To mitigate this, the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act of 1996 was passed, where habeas corpus writs may only be filed within 1 year from imprisonment, one time per defendant, and only after they have exhausted all of their legal pathways leading up to a federal court. Despite this occasional burden, habeas corpus must be protected, as it enables us to protect our due process rights and prevent arbitrary imprisonment. Finally, we believe it must only be suspended during justifiable instances of insurrection and rebellion. We are now open for questions.
Oh, wow. So many things to go with. Let's just keep in the contemporary and give me your analysis and your application of habeas corpus in the sort of the recent crises we've seen at our southern border with both undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers. Does it apply there? To whom? How?
I believe that it should apply. Oh.
You can go, Gavin.
I believe that it should apply to those because habeas corpus should be applied to all residents, either people who live within our country or those who step foot in it for the first time, and it should be something granted to all people.
Furthermore, I think that these are definitely violations of habeas corpus that's happening at the border. And for example, in the court case Rasool v. Bush, as we mentioned in our opening, it did hold that non-U.S. citizens are still eligible for the writ of habeas corpus. And so I do think that habeas corpus must be upheld there.
This is in part because of we can see how long it can take to get sort of a hearing for a lot of these people because the system is so inundated. So will the having more writs of habeas corpus would be an additional burden on the court system. It possibly help alleviate some of the stresses of housing all these people for the months it takes to get a hearing.
Thank you.
When you brought up Japanese internment in World War II, you mentioned collectively that you sided with the dissent in the Korematsu case. And when we talked about Lincoln's suspension of habeas corpus, you laid out the facts, but I don't remember. Did you say whether or not you agree? Was Lincoln's habeas corpus suspension justifiable?
We do think that it was unjustifiable because it's Congress. Congress has the right to suspend habeas corpus. Not President Lincoln did not have that right. So by him taking that power that wasn't his, he was going over Congress, which we do not agree with his doing.
I actually disagree with my panel because I do think that the way Lincoln or President Lincoln handled the sort of suspension didn't make sense. It was stepping on Congress's toes. His argument that this makes sense as a war power does make sense because you don't have time for Congress to assemble and debate over these issues when there is a war or an insurrection going on.
Elaborating on what my colleague Hosanna first mentioned, it is a congressional right as it is listed in Article 1 of the Constitution. However, in this instance, President Lincoln did suspend it. And this is what Justice Robert Jackson referred to as the zone of twilight. And we can see this in the court case Ex parte Merriman, in which Chief Justice Roger B. Taney argued that Merriman had been illegally detained and that Congress, not the president, has the powers of suspension.
Great, thank you.
All right. I'll kind of take off down a little different track. You did a nice job running through some of the evolution of the writ through this country's history, talking about it's a series of expansions and contractions. Can you elaborate a bit? How has exercising the writ impacted on states, state governments, state court systems, state incarcerations? Do you have views on that? Or?
So the suspension clause is found in Article 1 of the Constitution, which is the section that defines congressional power at a federal level. However, the 14th Amendment incorporated these fundamental due process rights to a state level.
Which means what exactly?
Currently, most habeas corpus cases are filed on a state level, and through the 14th Amendment, these due process rights, which are protected by habeas corpus, became extended to the states, and states are able to suspend habeas corpus and all Article 3 judges under 28 United States Code, Section 2241, and also, the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act does lay out a system in which the state and federal judges may suspend this writ.
Very good, thank you.
Well, let's stay on that suspension clause. How do you evaluate the language? And you've referred to it a little bit. Let's go into more detail. How is that language in terms of when it can be suspended? Is that appropriate language for our time and age, or should that be changed to protect us better?
I think so far it has been appropriate, even though amending it would help further. I feel the biggest thing we have to look for is if the people are in danger. If we are going to suspend habeas corpus, the people have to be first. And I feel over time with January 6th, that was something that they looked for because people were in danger. They were vandalizing, breaking a bunch of laws, endangering citizens. So over time, that has been the key concept we look for, but that's not always the case.
And one can argue for the usefulness of adding an amendment or a law clarifying what an insurrection is. We can see just how quickly these definitions change. Like within the past 20 years, the definition of war has changed greatly with the war on terrorism. When before it was state actors and other state actors going with each other, we now have non-state actors going into the mix.
Additionally, going off of this definition, the definition of an insurrection has never truly been discovered, and we think that this is something that shouldn't be defined because it goes on a case-by-case basis.
But isn't that dangerous? I mean, we leave the determination of what that means to the government, who then could suspend, as they have done in the recent history of Black Lives Matter protests. Is that
as we talked about in our opening, one of the in Moore v. Peabody in Colorado, they it was suspended by the governor, who was elected by the people. And even though they were elected by the people, it was still at the end of the day the governor's decision. And that may sometimes be too much power to place in the hands of government officials or the government itself.
Now, this is why the judiciary is so important, because as we've seen, the executive branch has taken this power from the legislative branch, but it is the Supreme Court that has really come in to decide these issues. And while they haven't always made the right choice, such as with Moyer versus Peabody or Korematsu, we do see in these recent cases with Guantanamo Bay that they are the big protector of habeas corpus within this country.
So with 1 minute left, let me ask a big question that is unfair. This conversation is getting at the tension between civil liberties and public safety. So even beyond habeas corpus, can we think of other examples of times when civil liberties have been set aside in the name of public safety?
Certainly, I think right now is a big example of this. For example, if we're looking at coronavirus and these mask mandates and quarantine rulings, those are examples of cases in which personal liberties may be set aside for the good of the people.
Someone else has probably got like 10 seconds to jump in if you want it.
I'd also argue that sort of movements towards gun control, we see this conflict between people wanting their Second Amendment, right to bear arms, which, however you define it, it's a little bit issue. May I finish my statement?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
And then with the sort of, public safety, because I mean, besides mass shootings, I believe that suicide rates when used with a gun are not over 99% effective, and about 60% of gun shootings are by suicide.
All right, good job.
Great job, Colorado.
Very nice.
I missed that rousing round of applause you all so much deserve, but we'll do what we can. So thank you very much. I just want to thank you. That was exciting. I just 20 minutes went by. It's like, what happened? That was the most engaging conversation, and I appreciate that deeply. Your prepared response was incredibly well written, well organized. You used evidence to support yourselves. You made assertions and you backed them up. And that's what this is all about, right? You made arguments. What I like is you were willing to disagree with each other. And that's a wonderful thing, because this is a big, messy question, and there's a big, messy country, and goodness, we're going to disagree with each other, but we don't have to be disagreeable, right? And we can have these conversations as thoughtful citizens, as our founders hoped we would be. Yeah, there was just so much good stuff. As you continue to think as young Americans, and if you go on in this competition, also try to think about solutions, right? Because there's some problems out there, and me and us old people, we kind of screwed some of this up, and we need you all to fix it. And we're hoping that we can challenge you to come up with some possible ideas to fix some of these issues. What are some possible solutions? And you alluded to maybe an amendment and that kind of stuff. And then when it comes to this notion of insurrection being so fluid, I like that you were able to apply it to a Colorado example, right? Bring these ideas home. But then think about, New York suspended habeas corpus and the BLM movements. And there's some questions out there. Maybe we need to solidify some of these things. I'm not sure, but I'm really proud of you all and what you've been able to accomplish. Good job.
Yeah, I just like to say this was great. The facts are there. Blackstone, Magna Carta, due process, Article 1. It's all there. But most importantly, I had a blast. I wish we could have kept doing this more. You can see I got Abel over my shoulder. I'm a big Lincoln guy. And I would have loved to have done a half hour with just me getting to ask, because there was some disagreement amongst you, which is great and healthy. There's disagreement in my own head about suspension of habeas corpus. But I think you guys have a real solid understanding of that. I've been asking about Lincoln all day. I think this is the first time that Lincoln's actions were justified under the War Powers Act, which is not justified. It was stated that was Lincoln's justification, which is just a fact, but it hasn't come up yet. There was just so much here, and probably the most important thing is the understanding and the respect you pay to the nuance and the complicated messiness of of this question. The tension between civil liberties and public good, public safety will never go away. It's been here from the very beginning, and you've done your homework, so you know where we've come from. So I look forward to you guys engaging in where that question is going in the future.
Yes, nicely done, Colorado. I enjoyed that a great deal. It's makes it not only easy, but enjoyable or easier for the judges to sort of have this conversation, and it flowed easily from you, which can only happen when you're well-versed in the subject, what you clearly are. And so the four of you complemented your teammates nicely, and you were able to add to with some sound reasoning and critical thought. I too enjoyed the Colorado specific illustrations of issues tied to this question, as well as, for example, the current, it was nicely done, the pandemic and the Second Amendment issues, of course, being, you know, large issues in Colorado and around here, as well as across the country, of course, but the Second Amendment issues. So you were versed on those being difficult subjects in that regard. So your breadth of knowledge was impressive, and you're to be commended and congratulated. So nicely done. And again, a big thanks and congratulations to your teachers and coaches and those that help you. But best wishes moving on, not just here, but down the road.